everybody. Thank you so much for joining the first town hall meeting for the Storj team. To start off, we have a forward-looking statement. This document contains forward-looking statements about our product direction, the development, release, and timing of any features or functionality described for our products remains at the sole discretion of Storj Labs. The information herein is not a commitment to deliver any material code or functionality and should not be relied upon in making purchase decisions. So with that, we'll begin. To start off, to kick us off, we have Sean Wilkinson, who is our co-founder and chief strategy officer. Sean, take it away.
Hello, everyone. So the lawyers made us say that, but building distributed storage networks is hard. So we encourage you to get involved and help us achieve our goals and our vision. The code is all open source, so you can help along. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers and the growth of the network. The first time I heard this, I was completely surprised. Patrick, our data scientist, said, hey, we grew 8 petabytes or 8,000 terabytes. And at first I thought we had gone from 5,000 terabytes to 8,000 terabytes, but no, we had grown that in a month. So in October, we stored more data than we stored since product launch combined. So a huge shout out to the Storj team and developers for really working so hard to make that possible, make those changes on the protocol and bridge side and client side and all over to really allow us to store that much data. So we're really excited about the growth of the network and actually how much data we're storing right now. So a little bit more about the numbers. We have about 13 petabytes of data stored. Last time we checked the stats, 35,000 farmers supplying their hard drive space, running out their hard drive space to our network. 47,000 registered API users. Those are developers who are building out really cool applications for you to use storage as an underlying platform. And 240 million monthly API transactions. Just insane amount of traction and growth that we're experiencing day over day. So we're really excited about those numbers, and we're really excited about the growth of the network. So we're gonna quickly kind of go through team updates, talk about successes, the token, community, partnerships, product successes, roadmap, and the next 90 days. We're gonna try to keep it as short as possible so we can really get into the fun part, which is the Q&A, where you can ask, what questions you might have, and we can kind of help you understand where we're going and where we are today.
Hey everybody, I'm Philip Hutchins. I'm the CTO here at Storj Labs. Been focused primarily on the underlying tech and stability and usability of our products. We want to make sure that we're providing the best service and platform for everybody to use. We've also been working really hard on growing our team to help us do that. We really rather grow strategically than fast. So we're not throwing people at the problems. We're carefully picking our people. We have a great team and we want to grow it accordingly. We're currently in a CEO search with a professional committee leading the charge. So we're excited to keep that going. And while that's in progress, we're charging forward and we're feeling really great about that. We've added 8 new members to our team. First, we have Bo Shin. He's joined as an advisor. He is an expert in crypto and brings a lot to the table in our advisory board. John Sanderson has come aboard as our VP of marketing to help us grow the brand and prepare to go to market. John Gleason has joined as our director of customer success. He's ensuring that our customers and partners have a smooth process coming out of our platform and can have a great experience while they're using the Storj platform and tools. Natalie Lasana has joined as a developer. Her background is in creative writing, and she's really passionate about development and the technology behind storage. Stefan Bitten has come on as a new community leader. His background in mechanical and software engineering. Garrett Ransom has come on as a data analyst. He has a blog where he writes about the financial industry, which is actually really helpful in what we do. James Hagan has come on as a developer as well. Dan Sorensen has come on as our PR director to help with forward-facing things. Nadine Farrar has come on as our developer evangelist, and she's growing community as well as a number of other extremely helpful things.
So let's talk a little bit about our successes this year and a little bit about the history of Storj. So we started in 2014 as an open source project, focusing a little bit more on building a more distributed and decentralized web, giving users a little bit more security, privacy, control over their data. And I think in 2014, we were kind of this whole decentralized kind of Dropbox area. People really gravitated towards that idea. And as we went along, we built a white paper on how we built this protocol and network. And as we did research, we really found that, wait a minute, Dropbox at that time just stored all their data on Amazon S3. And we really found that that's where a majority of data is stored online, is these object storage services like Amazon S3 or Google Cloud. And so we really focused on building out a product around that will really disrupt the layer that is actually storing a majority of the world's data. So around that, we kind of transitioned from an open source project to, hey, let's build a company and a product around this to make this easier to use. So from 2015, when we started the company, to 2017, we did a equity round, $3 million equity round. We found a lot of really smart, helpful investors and advisors to help us build out, not only this product that makes storage easy to use, but also use that to fuel the growth and the development of the protocol and ecosystem. So in the beginning of 2017, we launched Storj. We launched the object storage platform built on top of the storage protocol. That was a really fun and exciting time. And right up after that, we followed that up with the $30 million token sale. At the time, it was the second or third largest token sale. Now it's kind of chump change compared to a lot of the other token sales, but we're really excited about it. And that allows us to have the resources to be able to build out all the fun stuff that we're going to be talking about in this town hall and in the future. So that's kind of a little bit of the brief history of Storj. And we're just really excited to continue to grow and build things up. I hope you see that kind of the cadence of us building things out is increasing. And we might have some fun new things coming, maybe a new white paper or other things in the near future. But we'll have to wait till another town hall and talk a little bit more about that. So a little bit more about what we've done in 2017. We put out the FileZilla integration in kind of a beta stage. It was probably the best way to use Storj right now if you just want to play around with the platform. We made some major improvements in terms of the underlying protocol and platform through multiple SIPs that the development team has been working on. We almost, very close coming, are going to have automatic payments in the platform, in the product with Storj. It's a bit of a manual process, which isn't really too much fun for people, but it's almost ready to go. And so we're really excited to have that to release soon and make it a lot easier to pay for storage with Storj token. Again, the token sale that everyone knows about, we've really been getting out there in terms of conferences and meetups, and we hope to continue that in the future. We really like spending time with our community members and getting a little bit more direct feedback and telling you guys what's going on. And we released Storj Bits and Storj Bytes, again, to strengthen the communication of what we're working on and what we're doing. Again, because it's an open source community, people can get involved and help out. So we really want to, we've stepped up our communication a bunch, and we want to continue doing that. So 2 things kind of in the works. Tip 6, if you want to like dig into the GitHub and take a look, that's GitHub/storage/sips. And that really gives us a lot of durability on and scale to the storage network and platform. And so that's what's allowed us to scale up to this 13 petabytes. And SIP9, which will really improve our kind of dive into the network, understand what's going on, really improve our billing, and really improve farmer payments. So these are 2 things that we're currently working on, and that parts of these are really in production, and you can see the major difference and major impact that they're having on the network. So now we'll shoot it over to John. Make sure he's unmuted so we can hear him.
Yeah. Hey everyone. This is John. I'm a co-founder and chief revenue officer for Storj. When we think about the token, we think about the utility of the token, the velocity of the token, the size of our ecosystem, and the value of our ecosystem. And so in that regard, if you look at the utility of the token, we pay our farmers in the token, and we also accept payment in the form of storage tokens on the platform. As Sean mentioned, we're going to make that process a lot easier. The next release that's going to come out on payments will make it really, really seamless and super easy for everyone to make payments with Storj. And so that will, we believe, really increase the utility of the token. On the velocity of the token, we look at some of the exchanges as one way is basically to exchange the token and reflects the velocity of the token. And as you can see, our average daily volumes have gone out to about $10 million a day. We've added 4 large exchanges recently. Binance, which is now 60% of our volumes. Poloniex, which is 5% of our volumes, but used to be close to 70%. We've added Huboy and Cryptos. So 3 out of the 4 have been from Asia and 1 from the US. Then we're also integrated with Changelly, and you can actually buy storage tokens with a credit card there. In terms of the size of the ecosystem, we're focused on partnerships, both with Ethereum ecosystem players like Sohm and BlockV and Genero and CapLink and Lumio and YouNow, which are great because they integrated the backend for token-to-token exchanges, which are going to really increase both the volume and velocity of the token. And then other ones are just more traditional tech players like FileZilla and Heroku. And FileZilla is just a monster. It's been downloaded. It's an open source FTP client that's been downloaded over 500 million times. It's got a user base of sysadmins of somewhere around 40 million. And we're going to be their default storage solution. So we reasonably expect that to launch by the next time we have this town hall, and we think it can have a really material impact in the amount of data being stored on our network. Some of the other metrics that we look at for community, we've got about 47,000 Twitter followers. We've got about 12K members on our Rocket Chat, which is an open source version of Slack. We've got about 4,000 on Reddit and 1,500 on Telegram. And then, as Sean alluded to, we've just seen massive growth in terms of the amount of data being stored on the network, and as well as rapid increases in the amount of API users and farmers. So those are all very supportive elements for the size and value of our ecosystem. And then on the next slide, basically we have Storj is now an ERC compatible token, so you can use any ERC20 compatible wallet. We're looking at integrating a wallet into our UI in the future, and so that's something you can probably expect from us in the coming months. And then with the SGCX conversion, everyone should have already converted any SJCX into which was the blockchain counterparty token, into the new ERC20 compatible token, the STRJ. So Poloniex is delisting that today. And the converter that we have is going to be shut down on the 29th. There is no reason whatsoever to hold this token. It is going to be orphaned. And so if you haven't converted, you need to do so immediately. And right now it trades at like $85,000 a day. So there's no liquidity in the line whatsoever, and you can't use it on our network, and it has no utility and will not have future value. So make sure that you convert that as soon as possible if you have any.
So hi everyone, my name is Nadine. I'm the dev evangelist here at Storj, and we're going to talk a little bit about our community. So John Quinn pointed out some really great numbers that we're seeing in our Rocket Chat, our Telegram group, our Twitter, our Reddit. And my initiative is to help with our community engagement, our developers. And so one of the things I plan rolling out in somewhere around December is our Storj Bounty. So our Storj Bounty will have a technical focus, as well as other types of focus, such as translations, people participating in events. And we also plan to continuously update our bounty page to have featured bounties so that everyone in our community can participate. And the whole point is just to make it really fun. And it's our way of giving back to the community. Other things that we're going to be more immediate is we're going to be doing a lot more events. So one of our events that's coming up is our Token Summit in San Francisco. So if any of you are San Francisco based or will be in San Francisco, please tweet at us. We'd love to meet you and see what kind of things you're building and how you're using Storj. Our next event will be Silicon Slopes in Utah. And again, if you're around that area, again, we encourage you to meet with us, to talk with us. All of us, including me, are excited to work with you more and engage with you. So yes, and other trips that we're planning is in Europe and South America. So as soon as some of those events are finalized, we'll be messaging in Rocket Chat and Twitter so we can gather some meetup groups and maybe participate in a conference or two while we're there. And as soon as we get that going, we'll notify everyone. So if you have a meetup or a conference that you think will be a good fit for us, please send me a message on Rocket Chat, or you can send Storj a tweet, and we'll look into that. And finally, we'll update the community with more events and more things that we'll be doing moving forward to 2018. Just to keep in mind, Storj Bites will be released in December, and so the purpose of Storj Bites, which is our community quarterly newsletter, is to talk about things that we're doing with the product, with the technology, with the community. So one of the things that we'll be talking a lot in Storj Byte is our SIP 9. So our last quarterly release, we talked about SIP 6. This quarterly release, we'll talk about SIP 9. We'll talk about some of the things we plan ahead going with the community and some of our key developments in process with engineering. So when that's released, again, we'll put it on Rocket Chat and Twitter. And if you have any sections or anything that you think might be interesting to write, feel free to tweet at us or private message us, and we'll put it in consideration for our newsletter. Again, our newsletter is our commitment to you and part of our focus to increase the communication between our community and make it much more engaging.
So this is John Gleason, Storj's Director of Customer Success, and I'm here to talk a little bit about our partner program. So when you see our commitment and our investment in our go-to-market strategy, what that really means is we're trying to attract more users, more developers, and especially more partners, because partners are really the site for us to drive more utilization, so more data and more bandwidth consumption on the platform, and again, which is going to make all of us successful. We're looking at really rolling out our partner program over the next 2 quarters, and we'll have basically 3 types of partner that we're going to focus on. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong slide. So our source and referral partners, these are partners who will help bring us business and drive new opportunities for Storj. Reseller partners are partners who can take Storj and sell that to other businesses and other partners of theirs. And then, of course, where we're seeing the most success right now is with our embedded partners. These are people who can help us enter new markets or can expand the horizontal use of Storj. And this is where we're working strongly with our R&D investment to help these partners be successful. A couple of recent wins for us, of course, everybody knows FileZilla. That's our most long-standing and successful partnership to date. But we've also added this quarter several new partnerships, including CapLink, which is a enterprise software that allows enterprises to share data in secure data rooms, and they've selected storage as a data option because we're extremely secure with our distributed encrypted storage. We've got Lumia. Lumia is a company that's creating smart clothing, and they're using storage to store all of that streamed data that they can then use in their marketplace to enable their consumers to monetize their own data. Genera Networks out of China is another very exciting opportunity to expand our footprint in China, and Genera Networks is using our storage network to store their data. YouNow is another partner. They're a social media platform. They've got 40 million users, and they're using us for their props ecosystem to store a variety of different files for multimedia serving. BitClave is a really interesting partner as well. They're using a decentralized search engine to match offers with consumers, and they're using storage to store the files that support their offers. BlockV is another new blockchain partner. They're providing smart digital goods, taking the blockchain and not just having data there, but actually providing interactive applications on the blockchain and using storage to store that data. And then finally, of course, SunM, they're a decentralized compute platform that's integrating with storage to persistently store their client data. And they're going to be using quite a bit of storage coming up in the future as well. So the last thing I want to do is I want to just give the community here a sense of what type of partners are we looking for right now. And so initially we're looking for hardware partners in the near term, right? So these are manufacturers, consumer storage hardware that don't currently have a cloud backup solution. And I think storage is a great partner for companies like that. We're looking for PaaS partners, so platforms as a service that don't have native storage in them that can incorporate storage into their platforms, similar to the way Heroku is using storage today. And then finally, we're looking for file storage and distribution partners. So firmware updates, software updates, app downloads, and these are the partners that we're going to be seeking mid next year as we add more and more capabilities. But these are the types of things that as you see these partners out there and you want to refer them over to storage, this is how we're looking to grow the platform today.
Hey, this is Philip Hutchins again. Just a bit about our product success. We made a number of improvements to our applications and services and libraries across the board over the last few months. To start, just want to talk about SIPs a little bit, which kind of encompass all of these changes. So what does SIP mean? It's Storage Improvement Process. It's a process that we use to write up documents to describe an improvement that we want to make to the storage platform. So if you hear SIP, that's what that means. If there's a number on the end of it, it's just the number of that SIP, and you can find those, like Sean said, on our GitHub. The first one, it was like, I guess, probably our biggest to start with. The motivation of this SIP is that we're having big delays when trying to source nodes to store our files on. We were using the CAD network to move these messages around, and it caused problems. It also made it kind of hard to troubleshoot what issues were when that happened. So what the SIP did was we ended up creating two types of farmer groups, active farmers and benchmarking farmers. It lets us split the groups so that we have a certain percentage of shards go to one and the rest of those shards go to another, so that we can vet nodes, allowing us to bring new farmers online, help them increase their reputation without sacrificing performance or reliability to the user. This method is using farmer response time currently to build the reputation score, which is going to change. I'll go into that a little bit next. The next SIP is SIP 9, which helps improve reliability and shard transfer by building a reputation score based on transfer success instead of response time. So back at response time, it was good for what we had, but basing the score on transfer success instead of response time is a much, much better approach. It's been requested a lot by the community, and we've listened, and it makes a lot of sense to do this. We're actually really excited to start moving this direction. The bridge will now start recording storage events from both sides of the transfer. So it'll either record a success or a failure on each transfer. And we store that data, allowing us to detect which side is, if somebody is not telling the truth, we can compare with historical data to make sure that we know what's really going on. And if everybody agrees, it's fairly obvious who's a good farmer. Next, we have our roadmap. In building the roadmap, we've been really careful to listen to our community and try to plan out the most important features along with everything required to provide fast and stable platform. Among our top priorities, we have billing integrations. A lot of people have expressed interest in using our platform, but don't want to have their users move away from their application. So we are looking forward to building some sort of endpoint or something to allow people to integrate more seamlessly with Storj. Also, provisioning of nodes, of farmers, and all the other applications. So we wanted to be able to work easily with Docker, or Kubernetes, systemd, whatever it is that you want to use. We want to be able to work with that very easily and seamlessly. Stability and reliability, that's always one of our concerns. It's an ongoing thing. So we specifically want to add even better retry logic to by the nature of our network, we know the failures are going to happen, and we just want to make that invisible to the end user. That's kind of the whole point of this thing that we're building. So next we have developer priorities. We are working very hard to allow users to control their selection of farmers. So if you want to choose a certain set or type of farmers that perform in a certain way, you can do that and kind of achieve the performance that you're looking to achieve. On the farmer side, we are going to be working to do better payment automation. So moving from a manual process to something a little bit more automated, and it's going to be an ongoing thing as we make that even better. Also want to make sure that all of those payments are transparent so that everything's clear. When you get paid or you're paying another user, you can see how much and why and when. We also want to make it really easy for non-technical users to participate, which is great for everyone because it builds a network. So next up, we have the evolution of our platform. So the very, very first priority is always stability. We want to have a stable storage platform, because without that, nothing else really works. Next up is an easy one, archival. Our platform is already great for using for archival data. If you want to, your photo library or music, throw it up on Storj, and it's a great backup. After that, we are going to begin focusing on public web usage. So, serving files for public web, which requires more performance and reliability. After that, we have this tagged as global, which it speaks to being able to control your data and where it's stored on a global level. So if you want to have your data stored in a certain state or city, or multiple states and cities for redundancy, you could do that. And then building on top of that, we have CDN, which once the groundwork for that has been built, it will make it really easy to have the storage network perform like a highly performant CDN without the requirement of having a central data center, multiple data centers in a certain place. And based on all of those things, we've come up with a roadmap which describes basically the ordering of the things that we want to accomplish. First, you'll see SIP 9, which we're in the final stages of completing SIP 9, which I described just a moment ago. Contract renewal, which is automated renewal of contracts once they're out of network. We are definitely aware that we have some issues with storage share, and we're focusing a lot on that to make the experience for people running storage share much, much better. We're doing some research into the way that we store files on your computer. We found that the way that it is being stored now isn't as performant as we'd like, and so we have 2 separate research projects going on to find out which is going to be the best. We built a generic cron service, which is just a simple thing that helps us run automated processes and is kind of the groundwork for everything else. User reputation for upload will help us build smarter reputation scores for farmers to make the entire experience better. And moving back for a second, these things are organized by now plus, next. So each of these categories is just simply an order. And then at the bottom, you can see the color code. So foundation, stability, efficiency, and requested feature, just to kind of give you an idea of what each thing, what category it falls into. So next after that, shard repair. We want to do automated shard repair if enough of the shards are lost to be able to rebuild them and push them back to the network, to add an extra layer of protection to users' files. Improved farmer audit, so making sure that we know even better how farmers are performing to have better selections of farmers. Deleting expired files from farmers just helps to clean up the network so that we keep files that aren't there out of the network and free up space for new files. After that, we want to have a heavy focus on documentation. We're aware that our documentation needs some work, so we're going to put some really deep focus into that. Going to spend some time on tech debt, removing some of the old code that we're not using anymore, and then thinking about farmer payouts. So doing some work into automating farmer payouts to save us time so that we can work on other things and also have our farmer community not worry about when their payments are coming, have that be even more clear. Also, part of that is creating a formula so that it's also clear why we're paying people what, how much they're going to get paid, when they're going to get paid, all that. And then the farmer score model to describe exactly how the farmer score is generated, where it comes from. After that, we're going to start working on public files. It's a very, very highly requested feature, as well as shared files so that you can have a file shared with anyone. Third-party billing support, which I mentioned earlier, having API endpoints to enable people to do billing through their own services, not go directly through ours. We want to have the ability to have the farmer score displayed in Storj share. Also want to be able to use uploads based on the farmer score, depending on their speed, reliability, upload, download, a number of things to be able to create dynamic sets of farmers depending on what type of storage you want. Want to put a lot of work into Storj share itself with resource management, making it run better in Kubernetes or systemd, whatever things that you need to use, and also do some work in that traversal, which makes it run anywhere. We would like to add features for streaming, which is very important for doing things like video on the web, as well as a number of other things. And going to do some optimization around download bandwidth, because we're doing a little bit of extra download here and there where we don't need to, which could free up some time. Also want to do some smarter recovery for downloads. Future, and I'll just run through these quickly since this is more in the future, but add multiple bridges for a more decentralized approach. We are really passionate about having distributed network, but also want to start moving towards being more decentralized, and that's going to help us achieve that. So more automated payments, basic user permissions to be able to help you set granular permissions on buckets, extended user permissions, which is similar to basic user permissions, but it's kind of a step forward with that feature. Transmission protocol enhancements just to kind of tune the things that we already have built to make it more efficient. We want to look at libstorage and supporting more devices. We've heard of some issues with 32-bit support and needing more support there. We're going to extend language support for libstorage, so moving out into other languages like Go or Python. CDN, like we mentioned earlier in our roadmap in the path, we really want to be able to provide CDN-like services. So that's there. We want to be able to do dynamic scaling. So if you have a file out on the network, you don't want to pay for having it scaled up to 1,000 farmers all the time if your traffic demands aren't there. So it could scale down to 5 farmers, and then when our services detect that your file is getting accessed more frequently, it could automatically scale up to provide the service that you need for your customers. And in the future, this column is titled research, because it's things that we want to look into. We use a lot of research. We're not exactly sure where we're going to go with it, but we know that we want to look into it. We want to look into fountain codes or other better erasure encoding or something different. It will help us enable streaming and a number of other different things. And also decentralized or sharded metadata database that kind of goes along with multiple bridges, being able to split up the data. So moving to the next one, we have the Storj share UI concept. We are very aware that we have awesome code and services underlying our products, but we don't have the prettiest of interfaces. So we're working really hard to make big improvements to that. We want to have a more modern and responsive UI. We want to kind of expose the important data that you want to see that is interesting to you as a user, and not expose the data that you don't care about unless you want to get to it, but still make it possible for the power users to get to the things that they want to see. we want to make sure that we are providing visualization for key data elements so that you really see the data that you need. Also would like to provide notifications for important information that we need to get out to the network. And we've also listened when people have requested to be able to see how many tokens they're going to earn. So we'd like to expose that in your dashboard as well so that you can see what you would expect to earn. Automated updates are important also. It would be probably an opt-in thing so that you can choose to have your farmer update automatically so that you don't have to keep an eye on our updates, and it just automatically updates and you stay on the network and continue earning your Storj tokens.
All right, so this I think has been a great overview of all the different areas that we're focused on. And if you think about our community, it's comprised of developers, farmers, and token holders. And Steve Ballmer from Microsoft, said famously that Microsoft was going to focus on developers. We're going to focus on community, and you're going to see the cadence of our communications be really stepped up. And we're going to try to target each component of that, whether you're a developer or a farmer or a token holder, and then also try to cross-fertilize those through a referral program that we'll be launching shortly that will basically incentivize you, if you're a developer, to refer a farmer, if you're a token holder, to perhaps basically get developers on side to basically increase the size of and value of our ecosystem. Some of the main value drivers, I think, over the next couple months, we're going to go live with FileZilla. And as I mentioned earlier, FileZilla is a very large open source ecosystem player with tens of millions of users, and we're going to be the default storage option there. We're going to conclude our CEO search for Storj Labs, and we are in talks with some incredible candidates, and we look forward to making that announcement in the coming months. We're also going to, focusing on the liquidity of our token and the velocity of our token via signing up new exchanges, which look likely over the next coming months, and then all the product improvements that Philip's been talking about, and a huge shout out to the dev team and under Philip's leadership that are really just killing it. And I think you'll start to see a lot of huge improvements around that. And then on the community, we have some pretty heady targets, and trying to 2x perhaps even our Twitter, Rocket Chat, Reddit, Telegrams, which would be and also our API users and farmers. So that would be really a strong indication externally on how we're doing. So Twitter maybe getting up to 100,000, Rocket Chat getting up to 25,000, Reddit getting up to 10,000, Telegram getting up to 3,000. Again, if you want to see us live and in person, you can do so at the Token Summit in San Francisco, December 4th and 5th. We're going to be hosting a lot of our community folks here in Salt Lake City on January 17th for the Storj Summit, and then the whole team is going to be here representing for Silicon Slopes January 18th and 19th, also in Salt Lake City. If you have partnership suggestions, we're very open to that. We're looking at both the Ethereum ecosystem players as well as traditional tech, which dev tools that are open source with large communities and user bases. Some of the product developments that are coming out that are kind of touched on, but I think are going to be really interesting would be mobile apps, iOS and Android, desktop apps, improved storage share. And then one of the things that wasn't on the roadmap, but I'm really excited about, is the ability to do geofencing, because we have customers now. We have farmers in 70 countries around the world, and we have a lot of developers in different places, and they want to have their data stored in their country. And I think we'll be able to get to that problem soon as well. And so that's about it. I think from this point we can open it up to Q&A.
Great, thank you, everybody. This is Dan Sorensen. I'm the PR director. I will be moderating the Q&A. I just wanted to say that we had well over 100 questions come in. So we will also be giving out some Storj tokens to all those who sent questions in ahead of time. So if you didn't send your ERC20 wallet address, we'll follow up to get that from you. So to start off, the first questions that we have were, the first one was actually the most common question we had. And all these first questions will be about payouts and billing. And the question is, will payments ever be automated?
So we mentioned that a bit in the roadmap. But yes, so the next step is to build a automated function into the bridge that creates a monthly contract that would pay out farmers upon approval. This will just help with the time that it takes us to do it and be able to get it out faster. We're looking probably about 9 months or sooner, hopefully sooner, but that's currently what we're looking at.
The next question touches on this is kind of a similar topic, but will payments ever be processed more frequently, like once a week or days or even hours?
So kind of as we mentioned in the last question, we're first planning to deliver semi-automated payments, which is on the roadmap for next year. Once we deliver that, we're going to roll out bi-monthly payments and weekly and more frequently as we go, up until the point where we get to where they happen as files are downloaded as contracts are created.
Great. The next one is, what is the total capacity currently hosted by farmers, and what % of this is used by paid renters at the moment?
So we currently host 12 petabytes of data on the network, up from 6 petabytes last month. Scaling is just dramatically improving. A portion of this is from testing, either people we know are testing because they've asked us for insights on their data because we host them as designated testers. We don't have exact visibility into who's using the platform for testing and who's not, because we have no visibility in what's being stored. That's by design, so we can't tell. We can see how much is billed. However, we know that there are issues in the billing system where we're not billing users for the entire amount of capacity and bandwidth they use. However, farmers are being paid appropriately. Farmer calculations are not based on payments by renters, as renters do not pay for their first 25 gig of storage capacity.
Great. And then another person had a question about where they can find an archive of past payouts. Is it possible the folder for that will be made available publicly?
So we always publish those payouts on Rocket Chat. So if you join Rocket Chat on community.storj.io, you can see when we post those. We're going to make a dashboard that will make this data much easier to access in the future.
Great. Is there a deadline for switching to the fixed payout values?
So we're currently working on a modal and should have something to deploy in 2018.
Great. Is there any guide, I think you talked about this a little bit, Philip, but is there any guide for the payout baseline besides the like involving of micropayments? So
when we roll out our new previously mentioned payment model, we'll likely get rid of baseline payouts because the new model will provide better compensation. However, that's still a ways out and it could change between now and then.
Okay, great. The next one is, how will individuals and companies pay for storage usage besides credit card? Will there be some kind of hookup to a decentralized system or exchange?
Today, you can pay for storage via storage tokens, credit card, and Bitcoin through BitPay. We're also planning on adding Ethereum in the future. If there's demand for other methods of payment, we will consider them. So if you have opinions or thoughts, please let us know.
Okay. Okay, the next questions all focus on product. The first one is about mirroring. With 6 to 20 mirrors, how is Storj ever going to be able to run a profitable network for both the company and farmers without demanding absurd prices from the renters or keeping farmer payout subsidies?
That's a really good question. So we're actually working to reduce the number of mirrors, but we don't want to do this by sacrificing reliability. Part of SIP9 updates improves data captured from farmers. The data will enable creation of better predictive models that require fewer nodes to achieve service levels. This plays into our broad strategy around farmer reputation management that enables nodes with higher reliability to be categorized as such, which is also part of SIP9. Doing this will allow us to improve reliability and minimize the chances of nodes going offline, therefore allowing us to reduce mirrors. We've also been discussing the pricing models where users can modify the number of mirrors they have. A higher number of mirrors would come at a slightly higher cost, but still much lower than the legacy cloud storage options. Lastly, we're also working on recoverability from base shards, which will also minimize the rebuild time from remaining shards if a shard is lost.
Perfect. The next question is about geolocation data. So when is Storj going to allow developers to select farmers from certain geolocations in order to comply with strict storage regulations?
So we're really excited about this one and want to put a lot of work into it. Currently, we're looking at on the product roadmap for late 2018.
Perfect. Will there be a way for renters to decide where they want to store their data? But the question elaborates a little bit further beyond just geolocation. So it says fast versus more local versus slightly slower and distributed across continents.
We'd eventually like to get to the point where you can choose different performance levels from archival to CDN and everything in between. This will be part of our reputation management platform updates in 2018.
Great. When are we going to get a public dashboard where we can monitor the evolution of the entire network?
So there are a few of these that have been built by the community members. You can find these on Rocket Chat or look in the Storj Awesome repo on GitHub. That's a great resource for other things as well. So if you haven't seen that yet, take a look.
Great. Yeah. Okay, the next one is about bridging. There's a couple questions about bridges. When are you going to make it so the entire network doesn't depend on a single bridge? And if you ever do deploy multiple bridges, is it intended to let everybody run a bridge?
So as we mentioned in the roadmap, federated bridges model is on the roadmap for late 2018. It'll create multiple bridges. So in the event that one goes down, the network can still function. People can still access their files. We have a number of other interim steps to ensure that files can be retrieved, even if a bridge goes down. But we are, in the long run, aiming for multiple bridges. So the second part of that, if federated bridges are in place, is it intended to let everyone run a bridge? Federated bridges are not in place yet, but when they are, we would eventually like to be able to have anyone be able to run a bridge. So yes.
Okay. Okay, I think this next one is for you, Nadine. It's about bounties. What are your plans for supporting .NET framework? I ask this very often, but from a C#.NET developer point of view, there's no way to really interact with storage. I would have to code all the base stuff, the sharding encryption on my own, which would also lead to slightly different implementations, thus incompatibility.
So in our bounty program, one of the things we'll have is possibly work on a way to put some bindings, for example, with the .NET framework and other things. And as we define those requirements, they will be posted on the Storj bounty. So if you don't see it out in December, it could be out closer till next year.
Okay, great. May I install WordPress to Storj and make it accessible via the web? I mean, make a site at WordPress CMS, paste it into Storj so that people can enter into this site.
So to host a website, you would need both compute and storage. You could program a website to host content on Storj. We're working on an integration with Sonum where this could be possible. Sonum would provide the processing power and Storj would provide the storage capacity for website content. We've also thrown around ideas of having a small JavaScript app that would run in a web browser to initiate download of the Storj client in the web, which could therein hold web content, but that's not been built yet.
Okay, great. The next question is, how fast are the bugs fixed? Because timeout rate bugs still exist, RAM usage on the network load is too high, and a lot of other known bugs.
So we fix bugs in terms of priority, rolling out changes within a time frame that matches the urgency of the request. We're currently building a new support process, which will include published response times with the goal of providing feedback in a more timely and transparent manner.
What is the roadmap for mobile, including Swift and Kotlin?
We're in the process of working with contractors to deliver a mobile app and a big browser app. We also been considering bounties for mobile in the future. Kotlin is designed to work seamlessly with all Java virtual machine languages, so it's supported with the completion of Java bindings.
Okay, someone had a question about FileZilla. Currently, I use FileZilla to use storage, but it does not correspond to double byte characters. But for me, that who usually uses double byte characters, I rename the files every time, and it is inconvenient. Are double byte characters supported?
So it's not currently possible, but it could be something we'll consider in the future. In the meantime, there should be some converters that will make this possible on the dev side.
When will Storj support folder and directory structures? From my understanding, buckets do not support this feature. This really relates to mass adoption. We have this space, we need people to start using it, and a lot of it.
Directory structures are currently supported. We're building improved documentation to better onboard new users and educate them of the capabilities of the platform. This will be a high priority here coming soon. A lot of it's about building and describing the way that we implement those on top of our platform. And it's pretty much up to the developer unless you want to use our suggested solutions.
Great. Are there plans for providing an option to store shards directly on the file system instead of using KFS?
We haven't moved off of KFS yet. We're planning on moving off of KFS completely at some point soon. We have 2 separate research projects, as mentioned earlier, happening now to find better ways to store files that's efficient for our use. So keep an eye out for what's coming next.
Why are you hiring junior developers when you are most short-staffed in senior core JavaScript developers? Is that because they're too hard to find?
So we're currently hiring all developers at all levels. In fact, we recently hired a C developer with lots of experience. That said, there's a lot of need for junior developers, and investing time into junior staff definitely pays off in the long run. And if you'd like to join the team or know someone, please check out storj.io/careers.
Great. How many devs are working on the Storj API and GUI, etc.?
So we currently have 8 full-time developers and use contract developers from time to time when needed. We're also launching bounty programs to help diversify our offerings and engage community in the development of the platform. Currently, we're also hiring for several senior and junior development positions. We're working to grow both aggressively and sustainably, which sometimes can be difficult to balance.
Okay. The next section focuses on farmers. What are Storj's plans to make the platform more attractive for farmers?
So we're continuing to simplify the experience to make it more friendly and intuitive for farmers of all technical backgrounds. One of the biggest things that we can do is create demand for the network, which will increase payouts. We currently have announced more than 5 integrations with companies who are building their platforms on top of Storj, which will help us go in this direction.
Philip, you talked a little bit about the GUI at the very end, but this question has some specifics about what will be included in that. So when will you launch a GUI where farmers can see how much data in kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, etc. their farmer nodes have processed? And then there was also a question similar to that as to whether the GUI would monitor token earnings and bandwidth.
So we're planning to launch a monitoring GUI for farmers in 2018. It's currently being designed, so stay tuned. For the similar question, the feature would also be incorporated into the GUI. We're also rolling out a public dashboard as part of our website update in 2018. As far as the pending payout, it's something that we do plan on adding at a later date, among other information.
Great. If my internet speeds are slower or intermittent compared to others on the Storj network, will my ability to participate in the network be affected? If I am a storage provider, how will that affect my rewards? And if it will, how is that penalty calculated?
Internet speeds would not impact your ability to participate, but it could impact your farmer score. Once we roll out reputation management, we've been considering that both bandwidth and availability could play into farmer reputation scores. Slower internet speeds would not impact your payout, but it might reduce the number of contracts you receive.
Okay. Many people have an interest in understanding how shards are distributed between nodes, how nodes are rated, if they are getting ratings at this point anyway.
We haven't incorporated ratings for farmers and nodes yet, but when we deploy this broadly and begin to use it to award contracts, we'll definitely make it clear why a node is being rated and what can be done to improve that rating. Also, visibility into these details is intended to be added to the GUIs.
Are there any plans for integrating the contracts between farmers and renters into the Ethereum blockchain?
So at this point, we're not planning on integrating farmer renter contracts into the blockchain due to performance challenges we would encounter. It's not really designed for things like that. It may be something we'll consider in the future if we can find a way to make the data small enough to live in a blockchain.
Okay. Could you enable some sort of node merging, especially for smaller drives replaced by one bigger drive? And a similar question asked about migrating nodes between different machines, like if you were like going through some sort of service phase.
So it's something that we've thought about, and with a lot of the work that we're doing on revamping Storj share, I think we're going to address that. With the changes in the way that files are stored, it may just inherently make it a lot easier to merge two different drives. And so yes, it's definitely something we considered, and we're looking at doing that in the future, most likely in late 2018.
Okay. The next sections all focus on community. How will Storj become more appealing to users who want to host their cloud data?
So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Nadine. I'm the dev evangelist. So we are continuing to work with partners and find new ways to appeal to developers who want to take advantage of decentralized cloud storage. One of the best ways is to leverage the community. Many of our community members work in areas where they oversee storage nodes and have relationships with experts in these areas. Part of our referral program is designed to incentivize our community to help us grow the demand.
Great. Kind of along that same vein, what can users and farmers and developers do to help storage get more public and attractive?
So this is a great question. So everyone can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media outlets. You can tell your friends and refer others to be farmers. You can help amplify our digital voice and spread the word when we make key announcements. So again, you can check our Rocket Chat and our Twitter for those announcements. You don't need to go out of your way. You can just use to help your we can use your help amplifying our voice in your current realms, whether it's like Hacker News, Wired, Slashdot, or anywhere else. You can also see if there are partnerships in our bounty program where you can help us make connections to get new partners and customers. For farmers, you can get your farmer score high. The better the network performs, the easier it is to attract new customers. And then again, for developers, you can build projects on top of Storj and incorporate us into your existing or future applications.
Okay, great. And is a multi-language forum planned instead of Rocket Chat or something else for international discussions and better support?
So we actually have multi-language support on Rocket Chat, and it's very active, and our community leaders are very responsive. Under the channel, go ahead and add a specific channel to the different language that you want to use. And if the language is not there, you can message one of our community leaders to get that added. If there is an unsupported language, yeah, again, reach out on our general channel and we can build a new micro community. So the languages that are offered is English, Spanish, German, French, Russian, Portuguese, Japanese, Mandarin, Cantonese, Dutch, Italian, and Romanian.
Okay. The next questions are all about partnerships. This first one, this is the main question that we've had a couple different times, including on the chat. But will we see a storage share app for NAS devices in the near future? I would think this is one of the easiest ways to farm extra storage with a lower powered device that is always on. John, Quinn, do you want to take that one?
Yep, this is John again, co-founder and chief revenue officer. This is a great opportunity for us and an excellent fit for our platform. And we're offering bounties and encourage you to reach out to these vendors to request this capability. There's, that's on the supply side, increasing the supply side of our marketplace, but there's also a huge opportunity on the demand side because we could offer cloud backup to these devices. So we see this as a super compelling opportunity.
Okay, growth. The next questions are all about growth, adoption, and go-to-market. Will this storage be a viable alternative to traditional cloud storage, example for mobile applications?
Absolutely. It's a great alternative. There's so many technical changes on kind of the back end that make this platform just so much better than traditional cloud storage, and especially for mobile applications as well. So that's kind of in the works as to build out more frameworks and tools for mobile applications.
Great. When will you add a website like Dropbox or Google Drive and an app for easy access to store the files?
So there's kind of two areas there. One is we're working on kind of a mobile app and combined kind of desktop app that will have a little bit more of that Dropbox and Google Drive feel that people are looking for, that's built on top of our platform. And goes a little bit back to the roots of what we're kind of trying to accomplish in 2014, but now as an application. And we're also looking at, working with other partners and people in the space to provide other applications that provide, again, that same similar look and feel that addresses a real big need for people inside the cloud storage place and marketplace.
Okay, perfect. What is your profit model? Do you see the primary user of storage as developers, companies, or individuals? In my experience, it's better to set a primary focus rather than focus on all of them simultaneously.
Yeah, so the real big difference between our model and traditional cloud storage providers is that we don't own and operate a data center, which changes the economics and the model of how we make money quite a bit. I mean, we don't have to spend $600 million on a data center. That we can use that money to focus on development and features and other components. The way I like to describe the model a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's still an open and distributed network. So what really doesn't work well is if you take, let's say, a percentage fee in an open tool, someone can just go and say, oh no, let me take that fee away. Our model, it's about providing kind of an abstracted and a value-added service. So you don't have to worry about the token, you don't have to worry about some of the tools and components. If you have issues, we can help you with that. So we're all about providing a value-added service on top of the network. And that's where we really make our profit and our money is by helping you do the things that you like to do, but make them quite easier for you. And so that's what the entirety of kind of Storj Labs is focused on. It's not only building out the network, but also the products and services, value-added service on top. And that's where we really make our model and our profit.
Yeah, I might just add to that, we're a metered service. So the more, terabytes that are stored on the network and the more that move around the network, the more revenue that's generated both for Storj Labs and the overall ecosystem. So our current pricing is about half that of Microsoft, Google, Amazon. So on the storage side, we're about 1.5 cents per gigabyte. On the data transfer, about 5 cents per gigabyte. And one of the things to consider is that, this is really being used for an archival use case, but as we drive performance increases, the price per gigabyte is much higher at an S3 level than it is, kind of a Glacier level. As we are able to do geofencing and geolocation of nodes, we think that we'll be able to earn more money for those services and contribute more money back into the ecosystem. And then obviously for a CDN application, it's perhaps 40x that of an archival application on a price per gigabyte, but that really understates the revenue potential and the profit potential for our ecosystem because that one piece of content can be viewed thousands of times. So our unit economics, as we drive forward, the performance increases should increase, 40 to 1,000 times. And that's really, really interesting and encouraging from a profit perspective and for the ecosystem, for everyone who's participating in it.
Yeah, so really exciting ecosystem.
The next question is, how will you attract consumers who can also use commercial services and generally don't care about decentralization or security, etc.?
So that's why we kind of made that early switch from building out more Dropbox-like apps to building out more of a cloud storage platform. Because at the end of the day, you download the next cat picture sharing application. You don't care whether it goes to Amazon or Google Cloud or whatever. You just care that the application works. So we're really focusing on, again, the developers who actually make the choices on where our data is stored. And so the end user consumer really doesn't have to think or care about these things. It's just, hey, I got an app download, app update, and it's using storage now and it's faster, but maybe they don't even know storage is being used under the hood. So that's really where we want to make an impact is under the hood, no really extra required effort on behalf of the user, and you really don't have to think about it. It's just better.
Great. The next few questions are about competitive. One question I see on a lot of forums is how storage differs from other similar projects like SIA and MadeSafe. Most people who are familiar with storage understand how it's different and the competitive advantages it offers. Unfortunately, those who are unfamiliar don't get the differences right away. How are you marketing, promoting these differences? Has there been talk of prominently highlighting the differences between storage and the other decentralized storage projects?
I can take this one. So there's a lot of really cool projects in the space, really tackling the problem of how do you build a decentralized and distributed storage, and just really taking a lot of technical differences on how you address those problems. So SIA is one, MadeSafe's another, Filecoin's another. And so we're really actually quite excited by a lot of the things that these projects are building out. These are really, it's a really interesting problem. We're spending all our time and effort, trying to build out this problem. So we're really interested to see what these other projects and protocols come up with. A lot of people try to make a very competitive view. I think that's also how people understand those, is like, is this better or worse? But we'll really see, how these things turn out in the long run, and see what are the underlying protocol differences. You might find that one has better use for one particular use case. And so we like to think of the ecosystem that we're in as a little bit more open, a lot more open source and open to collaboration between these different platforms. So we'll see how it works out kind of in the long term. There's plenty of posts online that compare all these different platforms. So we really focus on, hey, everyone's taking a very interesting approach to this technical problem, and we'll see where it shakes out in the long term.
I might just chime in that, we are, just in terms of scale, larger than SIA, MadeSafe, and Filecoin, which doesn't really exist today. And, we really view AWS as, kind of what we're looking to have as our main competitor. So, kind of climbing up the performance curve, as I mentioned, from Glacier to S3. And so, that's, to us, we're trying to disrupt the global cloud storage providers, and we're less focused on competing with the other folks. We want to collaborate, quite frankly, with them to help disrupt the big guys.
Yeah, if we can all work together to make the big cloud storage providers, like Amazon and Google sweat, that's what we want to do. And I think that's a lot more productive use of all of our times, is to work together as decentralized cloud storage providers. And people are really trying to build, devoted their lives to building a better cloud storage platform for users, and giving them increased privacy and security and performance and costs. And so a lot of these projects are just completely ideologically aligned. So if we, again, can focus a little bit more on the constructive efforts to unseat the incumbents who don't care about that at all, or a lot less, I think we're definitely in a good boat.
The next question was, some of your competitors have broken ICO records with lots of funds to develop their platforms. Why do you think Storj is a good player in the market, even with other players that are so huge and promising?
Yeah, this is probably referring to the $250 million that Filecoin raised, before they had a product. And so I think the first and most important thing is that we have a working product. We have tens of thousands of developers and farmers And token holders, we had 17,000 participants in our offering versus their 2,000. They are going to come to market at some point in the future, and we look forward to that because at that point in time we can compare directly our service versus theirs. In addition, we're moving forward with some solid relationships like the Genero opportunity that we partnership that we announced last week, which will help us grow in new markets like China, which are really kind of very separate from the rest of the world due to the great firewall. We do realize that the market is being somewhat crowded, but we feel confident in our product and the fact that we're first to market and the scalable product is huge. The total addressable market in our space is measured in the tens of billions of dollars. Again, we're not competing with Filecoin and Saya and MadeSafe. We're really seeking to disrupt the big guys. In addition, we are the easiest decentralized cloud platform to integrate with, and we're going to have future refinements on the roadmap for 2018. So we think that we're going to continue to cater to the needs of all of our community members, whether they be developers, farmers, and token holders, in order to really accelerate the size and value of our ecosystem.
Okay. The next questions are about the token. The circulation of Storj tokens is incomplete because the tokens are distributed to farmers as a reward and are equivalent to certain amounts of US dollars. When customers pay for services, they spend US dollars, not Storj tokens. This means there is no use for Storj tokens at all. As a result, the price of Storj tokens will get lower and lower, disincentivizing farmers. How would the Storj team solve this problem?
So number one, on the service side, as we kind of talked about in the beginning of the presentation, we're adding payment for Storj token quite soon. It's going to be a really exciting integration. We already have it. It's manual. It's not a fun process, but as soon as we add kind of that automatic method of payment, that is going to be a lot easier for people to use. And I think we're one of the first platforms that has had an integration like this and actually allow people to use the token easily in the platform. So I think that addresses kind of the customers paying in US dollars. We did add US dollars and Bitcoins as a option because at the end of the day, that's, people are spending $20 to $30 billion or more in dollars on cloud storage. We wanted to have that as an option for people to pay. Again, when we're looking at integrations and partnerships, or even customers that may be coming a little bit more from the traditional Amazon S3 side, we want to have the methods of payments that they're used to. And so actually this turns a little bit more opposite, is that having a traditional customer who's used to paying in dollars and saying, hey, we'll take care of that portion for you. Say, hey, you spend $100,000 on Amazon S3. We can, our price is half. So you give us $50,000 and we'll give you kind of the equivalent cloud storage. That means now that we need to acquire storage tokens to pay the farmers. So again, this is actually a really good idea that we do have other methods of payments, US dollars and Bitcoins, because at the end of the day, we have to pay the farmers in Storj token. So I hope that addresses the question. The economics of a distributed, decentralized storage network and protocol is a bit new, but we think we have a really solid model on really bringing value.
Yeah, the last question that came through was about exchanges, about being listed on a specific exchange. Are you planning on listing the Storj token on D's exchange? They are based in the UK.
So we're actively working to get Storj listed on all exchanges. We've added 4 in the last month, and there's several others that look likely in the coming months. So feel free to reach out to those exchanges directly to request that they add Storj for trading.
Okay, great. And There were a few other questions that we had come in at the very end. We had one question about how's the weather in Atlanta?
60 degrees and sunny, I think. Yeah.
Partly cloudy.
Partly cloudy. No, it's partly cloudy. Yeah.
Which is essentially freezing for here.
That's true.
They don't call it hot Atlanta for nothing.
Is there? Here's the next question. This one came in in the middle of the presentation. Is there going to be a Storjberry OS for the Pi or a standard desktop client? I'm struggling to set it up currently.
That's a good question. I think that would be more of a community run thing. I have seen a couple of people set up some stuff on Raspberry Pis, and
we've done it ourselves too. We actually had a Pi rack that we brought to some events and showed
it's
off.
been a while.
It has been a while, but I would love to do that again. And just considering the fact that we want to do more with 32-bit support, I think it's in our future to do ARM and other things like that. With the C libraries, it'll make it a lot easier because the C libs are much more lightweight. And we all love toying and tinkering too. So
we can also do a tutorial, something like that on it. That
Yep.
could be a bounty or a project that could be.
Yeah, sounds like a good bounty.
Yeah.
So maybe.
There was a question, could you bring clarity surrounding the reward for farmers, how that works?
So that's actually, I described a little bit in our roadmap for Next Plus. We want to elaborate on that description. We're currently in the process of building it, so everyone is clear, and we're going to share what we come up with as soon as we have it together.
Okay, someone asked, I would like to sync files on my PC server to the Storj network via rsync. Do you know when this kind of feature would be available?
I would like to do that as well. I can't say when it will be available. It sounds like a really cool thing to have. One of the things that we're striving for in the command line utilities is to have feature parity with normal features in Linux, like being able to do a Storj copy and have URIs that make sense from a Linux and Unix perspective. And using tools like rsync seems like a great idea. We've toyed around with ideas of having the ability to do file updates, which rsync is really good at. So you don't have to copy all of the files if the files exist. So I totally see that being something that we would want to do. I can't speak to when it would be happening, but again, to the bounty program or things like that, I think that might be a great use of time there too.
Yeah, also more talk on the bounty. If you guys want like a future bounty or something like integration with Google Docs or something like that, you can also put a shout out on Rocket Chat or PM me, and I'll be happy to put that in consideration for the bounty program. So it's, again, community driven, and all the bounties is, to give back to the community.
And there were a few questions, like people had some technical questions about issues with their nodes. For example, one said, my main node is located at home, it is running on a Raspberry Pi, and it has a better reputation level than several other nodes where they're running gigabit connections, 20x performance that of their home. They've had no contracts on that node for a long time. Can you help them understand how reputation might be playing into this, or if that is even one of the issues?
So on the more specific technical questions with regarding nodes and other things, I'll send an email out to the person that reached out for that, because I think that goes into a little bit more technical detail and I need more information.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of factors that play into things like that. So it's really hard to say without more detail.
Yeah. So I'll reach out personally to the individuals that reach out for more technical related personal questions.
Yeah, and if you have technical issues, if you haven't joined the Rocket Chat, you definitely should. I've seen many times people ask similar questions and they go in the Rocket Chat and 2 minutes, 3 minutes later it's solved. Not all the time, but I've seen a couple of times where that's happened.
So if none of you are, I think some of you are here, you're not familiar with Rocket Chat. If you go on the Storj website and you click on community, there'll be a link to join Rocket Chat. Just click on that link and I'll pull up the chat. And then you can reach out to the individual channels by adding the channels. And again, we have sponsored languages as well for support. So that's a good way to reach out. And all of our community leaders, like Helene, Maya, Stefan, and the rest of them are very, very responsive. And most of them speak multiple languages. So again, please reach out on Rocket Chat.
Great, and I think that is all the questions that we've received. We were able to address all of them, and if you have follow-up questions, reach out on townhall@storj.io, and we'll happily get back to you. Or as was said, you can always reach out on Rocket Chat as well. Thank you everybody for joining, and we will plan to be doing this again in 3 more months for Q1 2018. Follow us on Twitter for more updates on this, or follow our blog, or log in on Rocket Chat. We share all of the updates related to this in that manner. Also go to storj.io, and you can join our mailing list to get our quarterly newsletter update as well, which will be coming out before the end of the year. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch. And in the meantime, continue to do all the good work. We really appreciate all the support that the community has provided, and look forward to a successful year to come.